The endgame dream in Diablo 4 would be to find the perfect Nightmare Dungeon layout, with magic find affixes to make legendary hunting a lot more efficient. And then infinitely reset it to abuse the farm. Get your hands on all the legendaries and XP you will ever need for the endgame. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly that. How you can set it up, infinitely farm your dungeon of preference. So let's get right to it. Alright, so here we are standing at the end, basically, of Blind Burrows, one of the favorite dungeons of many people. But you can tell that we've basically cleared the entire area, missed a little spot at the center, but this is where we basically have to enter the boss room, and then, of course, the dungeon is complete. But right now, if we just leave the dungeon and re-enter it, it should be reset entirely. This is what I'm going to teach you guys today, which is pretty easy to set up. So right now, if we open up the map, you can see that we have Blind Burrows, a tier 34 dungeon, and if we enter it, we are at the very beginning of the place. We open up the map and this one is empty. So that means we can start from zero and do this over and over again. I mean, if we just quickly slide down right here, we open up this chest. You can see that if we open up the map, this is a very specific layout. Right now, I'm leaving the dungeon. We can also do this by clicking on the entrance, by the way, on the map. But now, if we re-enter it, it should be reset. So there we go. We start at the very beginning once again. So we haven't explored anything of the dungeon. Right now we can slide down and there's probably going to be a different chest or nothing at all. See, right now we have something else. So let's show you exactly how it works. How you can infinitely farm a nightmare dungeon of choice with, of course, certain affixes. So you can have extra magic finds, gold find, or whatever. For that, I'm going to quickly leave the game so I can reset the process and show you how it's done. Very important, if you leave the game, you will also lose your Nightmare Dungeon. So you definitely don't want to do this. Alright, so here we are back in town. If we open up the map, you can see that we no longer have a Nightmare Dungeon on. Sigil is gone. Let's activate a new sigil. This is a pretty bad one, but just for showcase purposes, we're gonna activate it and see where it pops up. So there we have it. It's pretty close to this teleportal, Margrave. Okay, so we're currently standing inside the Maulwood dungeon. We've cleared the first part of it. If we leave the dungeon and re-enter it, we will basically continue with our progress. So if we exit the dungeon, open up the map, you can still see it right here. Dungeon tier level 32. But if we enter it, our progress will not be reset. So here we are opening up the map. You can see that this is everything we've cleared. So step one, leave the dungeon before, of course, you finish it. What we're going to do right now is find another dungeon in the area. And this has to be a normal dungeon, not a cellar. Very important, because cellars don't help you to set up the infinite reset for a nightmare dungeon. So right here, we've got the Light's Watch. We're going to put our pin right there and travel to the other dungeon. You only have to do this one time to a normal dungeon, and then you will basically have the infinite reset setup for your nightmare dungeon. We're gonna have to slay 2 watchmen. That's the first objective of this dungeon. So that is exactly what we're gonna do. Just rush to the objective, take out these 2 guys as quick as possible. There we go, that's 1 watchman down. And there we have our secondary skull. So I'm just going to push him against the wall, and that's it. Now we have to slay the watchman. Voila. Pick up the key. And now, if we open up this room, you can see that now it says travel to the Light's War Room. So this is basically the secondary part of the dungeon. So now we've basically finished our first objective. We slayed the watchman and opened up the door. We can also travel to the end of this dungeon and take out the boss, which is right in front of us, but it really doesn't matter. As long as you finish your first objective, very important, you can leave the dungeon. So now we are outside of it. If we open the map, you can see that this one isn't complete yet. So after you've started your nightmare dungeon, you want to complete 1 objective in a normal dungeon nearby. Just travel to the closest one and take care of that first objective. Then you can travel back to your nightmare dungeon and enter it. If we do so, you can see that our abandoned camp, or well, this specific layout of the dungeon is a new layout. You can see that the progress was reset entirely. So the game thinks we had some progress on another dungeon, so this one had to be reset. While right now, we no longer have to do normal dungeons. We can just do a little bit of progression, let's say, in this one. Say we take out these wolves right here, these wargs. We just slam them down. We open up this chest right here. Remember this specific layout. So we started with the entrance of the Kroll Forest and we go to the north. Right now, we just leave the dungeon. We get back at the entrance. But if we now enter Maulwood once again, this one should be reset entirely again. So there we go. Now we have nothing explored on the map. We can continue towards the north. And this time we have this little extension, but we have to go towards the south of this dungeon. So it's a different layout every time when you leave it. In any way, leaving the dungeon or of course taking a portal back to base, you will entirely reset the progress of this dungeon. Right now we've got a different layout, basically going towards the east. And let me just quickly die. You don't want to lose your perfect sigil. Well, you can just revive a checkpoint with that last life, and then we can either leave the dungeon and re-enter it, or we could teleport back to base. So we had 3 lives left. Now we're just gonna quickly visit the repair station, repair our armor. You can also sell all the goodies you found during the run. And if we re-enter it, this is what it looks like. So once again, a different layout. You can basically keep farming this as much as you want with the exact same sigil. The lives will always reset. The dungeon will reset entirely. So of course, if you want to complete it, be sure to make it till the end before you go back to base to sell your goods. Ladies and gentlemen, that is how you can reset any dungeon of your preference. Infinitely farm the specific place with, of course, magic find affixes or whatever you want to make legendary hunting and XP farming as efficient as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, a big thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like if you found this video helpful. Of course, this is for single player. Multiplayer is a little bit more complicated, but with this process, you can basically keep farming whatever affixes you found on your favorite dungeon layout. Ladies and gentlemen, a big thanks for watching and have an awesome day. If you have questions or suggestions for future videos, leave them in the comments down below. Right now, though, it is 4 AM out. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.